Hello everyone, my name is John Bussard. I'm an HPE Business Transformation Center engineer for Ingram Micro. I help support HPE servers, blade systems, storage, as well as Aruba networking technology solutions. In my videos, what I like to do is show you a slide from a popular PowerPoint and demonstrate to you what that means within a management context. Today we're going to start our conversation with the Data Services Cloud Console. In particular, we're going to be looking at Data Ops Manager as well as intent-based provisioning. Now, the Data Services Cloud Console is a part of the GreenLake platform. And I know a lot of people think of GreenLake as a cost metric wrapped around hybrid IT, or treating on-prem hardware with a cloud-based costing approach, meaning you pay for what you utilize on a monthly basis. And certainly that's one aspect of managing hybrid IT with a cloud-like approach. The other aspect is your day-to-day maintenance and provisioning of the environment. And that's going to be another aspect that we're going to see within GreenLake. So with all that being said, let's explore this management context. Okay, as you can see, we're up in the GreenLake platform. And over here is GreenLake Central, and that'll go back to that costing model I told you. Now, there are definitely other things within GreenLake Central, but for our discussion, the thing that we're going to kind of hit home here is this is going to be the area where you deal with a lot of capacity planning as well as costing over time, or paying for what you utilize on a monthly basis. And like I had said, that's one aspect of managing hybrid IT with a cloud-based approach is the cost, but it's also, the day in, day out maintenance. And that's what we see with these solutions. And I should scroll down a little bit so we can see InfoSight down here. But Aruba Central is the ability to manage on-prem networking solutions. So wireless, wired, as well as gateways, and again, with a cloud-like approach. Right now, normally when you manage these type of devices, you need to be local to these devices in order to manage that. But with these cloud-based solutions, with this GreenLake platform, I could be managing a single site or sites all across the globe with a unified platform, right? Impact globally, right? But manage through one interface, right? So this is for networking equipment. Compute Ops Management is for managing per-client servers, so things like doing firmware update on per-client servers. And again, it doesn't matter if you're doing one or you got servers all across the globe, you could manage that context. And below is InfoSight. InfoSight is your AI in the cloud, so it takes analytics across all these tiles, right, and brings them together and presents them back to you in a meaningful way. So let's say this is your AI in the cloud. Right, so what we want to look at today is Data Services Cloud Console, because that's managing on-prem storage solutions in the name of Electra or Nimble or Primera with this cloud-like approach. So let me select that. Right, and we're going to deal mainly with Data Ops Manager over here, so let me select that. All right, so we're at the dashboard in Data Ops Manager. If I select this little menu item here, we can see all the different places that we can go. But we can also select that over here. For example, I select Systems. It brings me down to the Systems context. I want to go back to the dashboard, I just select Dashboard. All right, we can see a lot of this is hyperlinked. If I scroll down, we can see capacity based on a system level as well as volume level. And this would be all across all these storage systems. If we go down even further, we can see performance, again, at a storage system level or at an individual volume level. And we can see all the important information, IOPS as well as throughput. But obviously, we can dig into these menus and get more information if we want to. So for example, let's go into Systems here. And we can see the three systems that I'm managing. And so certainly we have an Electra-based system here, an Electra 6000. We're managing a Nimble storage all-flash solution, as well as a Primera-based solution. So I think that's important to note. When this originally came out, it really just managed the Electra-based solutions, but they've since opened that up, and as long as you have support in these systems, which you should, you can manage this from within this cloud platform. Now, one thing I'd like to point out is the Electra-based system does still have a local management console. Right, and if I select up here, we can see that local management console here. And if you're familiar with Nimble arrays, this will look very comfortable to you. Right? And down here, I have a Primera-based system. Right? And it has a local management interface that looks something like this. And this would be the same type of management interface that you'd see on an Electra 9000 based system. Right? But if you notice, these are two different management contexts. So I need to learn both of these interfaces, which is not too difficult. But the Data Services Cloud Console is going to be the unifying factor. So I'll have one interface to be able to manage across the globe. Another thing, speaking about the globe, like I have to be local to these IP addresses or DNS names in order to be able to manage them, right? But with the Data Services Cloud Console, a secure tunnel is made to these systems, and again, I can manage these from the cloud, and I don't necessarily need to be local to do my day in and day out business. So let's dig in. Let's look at this Electra system in a little bit more detail. All right, we can see the system's on. We can see its capacity utilization. We can see the performance. All right, any issues that happen to pop up, we can expand out, get some more detail on the capacity, right, over time, as well as the applications that I'm running down below. Protection, this has to deal with replication partners. As you can see, I've created a replication partner with our other Nimble all-flash array. This happens to be an AF40, so you could certainly do that type of thing within this environment. We could look at performance. Again, the all-important latency, IOPS, and throughput. We look at the hardware itself. See, I've got one head shelf here. If I select it, it actually expands out and we get a nice graphic view of the front of the system. If I go down further, we'll see the back of the system. So here's the first controller, and this is in standby. Certainly I can make this active if I wanted to. We'll go down even further, and we can see this is the active controller in this environment. I could also look at the interfaces here. Now we get a breadcrumb view up here, so if I want to go back to my last menu, I could just select this. And you can see we're under hardware. I could look under software. We'll see if there's any firmware updates for the system itself. We could look at networking. Right, and if I needed to change something like DNS, I could select DNS here. Right, select the little pencil, and I could change the DNS name as well as the DNS servers. Right, so we'll go back to our breadcrumb. And of course, we've got settings over here. Now this is the Electra-based system. I'll go back to Systems. And I'll select our Primera. Now I got a few more issues showing up here about temperature and stuff. But this is the same management context. If I go across, this will all look the same. Right. Performance, hardware, and things like that. Even though they have different local management interfaces. And I didn't need to be local to these IP addresses. Right. I'm managing them from the cloud. So let's go back to our dashboard. Now let's explore hosts. So I could certainly click on host over here, or I could go down to data access. And you can see things are listed in host as well as host groups. So when you create volumes, you always present them to host groups. And you can have a host group of one, which you can see I have quite a few of here, or you can have host groups of multiple. And this makes a lot of sense, especially here's a host group here. We'll select this. So I have 4 ESX servers in this host group. So if I'm going to create a volume for this VMware cluster, I would probably want to present it to all these hosts within this environment. So it makes sense to create volumes and present them to a host group. So go back to host group. Right, if we needed to create a new one, we just click the plus sign over here. We give it a name. And then we scroll down and we find our host in here. But if we didn't see it, we could create a new host here. Right? We'd give it a name. We'd select the operating system. I don't know, maybe we'll do Windows servers for this, and we'll click next. And then these would be all the worldwide names and IQN names that the system could see. And then we go all the way down. We could create and we could add a new one if we wanted to. Right? We could add that into this environment, and then we could create that host group. Right? We could also look at volumes. So let's go to storage. And these are the volumes. You can see I have volumes as well as volume sets. Right, now most of this is in volume sets. Right. You can see that we have this 1 hour basic collection here. That's a volume set, as well as this update utility database volume here. So let's take a look. What does this mean in environment? So I'm going to select this. And you can see it shows us a couple of volumes. Let's stop and look at this through a local management interface, because maybe some of us are comfortable with the Nimble management interface. And let me show you what these are. So I go over to the Nimble management interface. I'll go under Manage and down to Data Protection. And we're underneath Volume Collections. And we can see the 1 hour basic collection, which is the same thing that we're looking at here. All right, so this is a volume collection in the Nimble world. So if you don't know what that means, a volume collection is a collection of volumes that have a certain snapshot schedule. So if I select that, and go inside, we can see its snapshot schedule. Right? We can see the volumes that are associated with it. So there's the volumes, as well as the snapshots that exist with this. Right, so we can see the same type of information over here. Right, we can look at protection. We see the snapshots. If we look under policies and scheduled snapshots, we can see each one of the schedules. And there's 4 of them here. Right, and those would be the same 4 that we'd see here. Right, so a lot of it's the same. It's just a different way of looking at something. Right, we could also dig into the volume itself. So I don't know, we'll take this SQL VMware volume. And again, we can get all kinds of information out of this. Volume, performance, again, over time. We could look at protection, so we can actually see the snapshot schedules as well as the access. So to look at that from a local perspective, we'll go over to data storage. We'll scroll down, and we'll see there's our SQL volume. I'll select that. We can see our snapshots, just like we've seen it, and obviously we can see the volume collection over here, and then the data access over here. So again, that was same as what we're looking at here, access, protection. All right, so let's go through and let's create a volume within this environment. Go back to the dashboard. Now, one of the ways that you can create a volume is through intent-based provisioning. So you can find that tile. Again, I could go back to the Data Services Cloud Console and select the tile, but all the tiles will be listed here. You can see I have intent-based provisioning. So I'm going to launch this, and this is going to launch a wizard that's going to help us provision a volume within our environment. So let's select our storage tier. You can see all the ones that I have in my Data Services Cloud Console represented. So the Electra 6000, the Nimble All-Flash, as well as the Primera. So I'm going to select the Electra 6000. What type of workload am I going to place on this? We'll just do a file server. What are we going to call the volume name? So we'll call this we'll call this name. How many volumes you want to create? We'll just create 1. Volume size, I don't know, we'll do a 0.5 terabyte. Next, we'll have to select the host group. Let's see. I think that this guy looks pretty good. And then we'll select the protection policy. Now, if you want to do a snapshot schedule at a different time, you could certainly do that. I'm just going to select the one they suggest, which is this 15-minute snapshot schedule. We're going to click Continue. Now, it's going to go through and select the right storage system based on what I selected in the previous menu. So it's going to look at all storage systems. It's going to look at connectivity to the storage system between the host and the storage system. It's going to look at the capacity as well as the performance metrics based on the application category that I selected, or the operating system I selected. And then it's going to make a recommendation. All right, so it's selected my Electra system. If I didn't like that, I could open it up and select whatever I wanted. But we're going to go back to recommendations. I like this. I'm going to click Continue. You can see its volume set name. It's put a VC in front of it, which stands for Volume Collection in the Nimble world. I'm going to click Continue again. And then I'm going to click Submit. And we see the volume creation has been initialized. All right, so let's go back on over to Data Ops Manager. And we can see now that we're at 43 volumes. I can select and go down to storage, and I could go find my volume or my volume collection, but I think I'm going to search for it. If I remember, it started off with a VC dash, and we'll see that volume collection listed up here, and I could select on that. Now, before I dig into that, let's take a look at the storage system. We'll go under Manage, I'll go under data protection. We'll go down to the bottom, and then we'll see that volume collection's been created. I'll go into that volume collection. You can see the schedule. You can see it's done every 15 minutes, Monday through Friday. If I wanted to edit this schedule, I could do that here. So that's one thing that's important to note is I can make changes on the local interface and they'll get reflected in the cloud. I can make changes in the cloud and look reflected within the local management interface. All right, we can look at volumes. You can see the volume show up over here. All right, and then we can look at the snapshot collection, which there isn't anything right now. We could also look at this volume from this perspective, from our list of volumes. We can scroll all the way down. Let's see, where is this volume? She's in here. Here it is. And then we can select that guy, and we can look at it, and again, we can see the volume collection over here. I'll go up over here. We'll select our volume collection. And then we can see our volume listed in here. Let's go back to the dashboard. So that's the Data Services Cloud Console, more specifically Data Ops Manager, as well as intent-based provisioning. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please stay tuned for more videos.